UFC 278 weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Main event, Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards 2. Looking forward to this card. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you haven't, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. We'll start it off with the first fight of the night. It is Victor Altamirano and Daniel da Silva. I have been on da Silva throughout the week. Of course, it's a cautious underdog for reasoning of da Silva tends to make bad decisions. I kind of accredit them to being due to lack of octagon experience, potential jitters. I do think his skill set is better than what we've seen so far in the UFC. And I mean, he didn't look bad from his back in the Jeff Molina fight. He is a pretty quick kickboxer. Both fighters southpaw, so fun southpaw versus southpaw matchup here. Altamirano going to be dangerous striking. He's a scrappy kickboxer. He's pretty good inside with his boxing stalking style. He's a Mexican fighter, incredibly tough. Da Silva needs to fight smarter here and bring a more patient attack. Now, I am on Da Silva, but we'll check out the scales and see if anything changes. There is Altamirano, who comes in very good shape. And there is Daniel da Silva, who comes in good shape as well. And we got a nice face-off there. The face-off doesn't change much. I mean, I expect a very tough fight for both. I feel like da Silva can steal a decision. If it does go to the floor, he has slick enough jiu-jitsu to find the submission. I think he could get the back of Altamirano and sub him, but I'm leaning that da Silva wins by a decision in a competitive fight. Thing is, da Silva known for the finish, looking at all of his wins, finishes, whereas Altamirano, past two, they've gone longer, split decisions, close fights. Minus 165, Altamirano the favorite, plus 155, Daniel da Silva as the underdog. Do I like the over a round and a half, minus 130? I think it's probably going to come through. I feel like over 1.5 is not a terrible play, though da Silva could go out there and start extremely fast and get himself finished or find the finish. So nerve-wracking play, but I feel like we're probably going longer if da Silva comes with an intelligent game plan. Da Silva to win by a submission, sitting at plus 500 at best value. I like Daniel da Silva to win the fight. I am picking him to win it. Leaning at cards. Earlier was decision. I'm very torn on method of victory. If you're propping it, it's win by sub. I think the money line would be an okay touch, but no, it's a very difficult fight against Altamirano. Probably going over a round and a half. Daniel da Silva, the official pick still. Let's get to the next fight of the night. Aoriqileng versus Perrin. I have been on Perrin throughout the week. I think that he's a viable underdog here that could potentially beat the difficult and dangerous striker in Aoriqileng, who I think is more powerful standing up, though I feel like Perrin doesn't have bad boxing. I think I'll have a little bit of an athleticism edge and also an advantage inside of the clinch and probably with the grappling overall. So I've been on Perrin throughout the week. Let's see if anything changes with the scales. Here is Perrin, comes in good shape. Aoriqileng, good shape as well. And there's a face-off. No issues with the face-off or anything really. The fight doesn't change much as far as what we've seen on the scales. Nothing has changed. To me, it's going to be a very competitive fight, which may go to a split decision with Perrin, I think, taking it on the cards, but ultimately, it's an extremely competitive matchup. I'm on Perrin, but he's a very slight underdog at plus 125. You see Aoriqileng at minus 127, a true toss-up. Over 2.5 rounds, minus 190. I would think is a solid play here because I do believe they're going longer. I don't really like either of the decision props for, Aori or Perrin, regardless of the side you're on. Perrin by decision, plus 275, not worth it. I think better touch money lines, regardless of the side here, or go towards an over, because I really feel like we're looking at 3 rounds of work between these two. We did lose the Miranda Maverick and Shayna Young fight. Young was hospitalized during the weight cut. We have now, next fight, Amir Albazi taking on Francisco Figueiredo. I think this is going to be a very interesting flyweight matchup. I am riding with Amir Albazi. I've been on him confidently throughout the week. I do think the wrestling is a factor. I think he's pretty explosive and physically strong. He's got a pretty decent kickboxing style. Figueiredo, not the same as his brother, excuse me, but he does bring a sniper stand-up game, does have a bit of power in his punches, but not the same as Davison. Solid jiu-jitsu base. Amir Albazi, I think, should win a decision here against Francisco Figueiredo. I don't think it's an easy matchup. It's going to be hard to find the finish. Figueiredo, I wasn't impressed with the fight, especially against Malcolm Gordon. That one he loses about to someone that I really thought he was going to win that fight. I remember it too. And I feel like Albazi is a step ahead of a Malcolm Gordon. Fight against Malcolm Gordon. Yeah, submission win for Albazi. I think Albazi also beats Figueiredo. I know he's been off for a while, a year and a half. I think this is a good comeback fight against a pretty difficult, decent back-end flyweight in Francisco Figueiredo, the brother of Davison. Looking at the scales, I don't think anything changes, but I will note Francisco looks good. I mean, he comes in shape. I do expect him to bring us all. There's Albazi, and there's Figueiredo with a little bit of the height advantage. If you're betting on this fight, you're probably leaning towards props or parlays. Note this, Albazi is way too wide for his actual abilities. Yes, he's a good fighter, but he should not be minus 430 at the best value with Francisco at plus 385. This isn't that wide of a fight. It should be Albazi to win a decision, the over 2.5, minus 140. But I really do feel like this is a fake line, like it's an inflated line. Way too wide, way too wide. He doesn't deserve to be this big of a favorite. Just value-wise, Figueiredo as a dog could be people attacking it. I don't think he wins, though. He's going to lose a decision. Albazi plus 125, win by decision. Don't love the play, but it does bring you to plus money, and it'd be better than touching the money line. You can't go money line on Albazi for the most part. Albazi, though, to win on the cards. Next fight of the night, AJ Fletcher and Ange Loosa. I've been on Ange Loosa to beat a game AJ Fletcher. I'll note from what we've seen on the scales, AJ Fletcher looked very good. There is Ange Loosa on the scales, looks in great shape. AJ Fletcher looks in great shape as well. Both are jacked. Loosa does have the advantage with the reach. If he can stop the takedown of AJ Fletcher, which I suggest to you he will be able to, I do think he has a striking advantage from distance and can find himself a win. Granted, AJ Fletcher is a pretty game prospect. Big win on the Contender Series. You look back a bit, okay competition level. Loosa, he's fought decent competition for a while. 8-4 LFA. Colin Hubbard beats him split. Didn't love that one. Lost to Jack Della Maddalena on the cards. John Howard he beats, and Howard's a longtime vet of the fight game, though he's at the tail end of the career when he loses to Loosa. Loses to Munir Lazez, which is no surprise. I expect this fight to go the full 3. I am leaning it, though. Loosa on the cards. Fletcher can go out there and prove me wrong, though. It's definitely possible. Minus 147 for Fletcher. Loosa plus 138. Over 2.5 rounds, I think, is pretty likely here. That's sitting around minus 175 at best value. Loosa to win by a decision, plus 280. I like the chances for Ange Loosa to get his hand raised in an upset over AJ Fletcher. But we got to note, both guys young, 28 for Loosa, 25 for Fletcher. Definitely primed for success on either side. We're riding with Loosa, but AJ could be very live here. Next fight, Jared Gordon versus Leonardo Santos. You have to go Jared Gordon, though I didn't love his interview when he was talking about like how MMA makes him feel. But granted, he didn't say anything bad from that interview. It just seems maybe somewhat in the negative of what he thinks of actual cage fighting. Obviously, he says he's using his platform to help people, which is good. I know doesn't necessarily matter in the matchup. Shouldn't matter. I think Jared Gordon should win the fight. I don't know. He seemed a bit emotional through that interview. I mean, as expected, concerns me a bit, but I expect him to be mentally in the right place for this fight. Leonardo Santos, I believe, is no longer what he once was, even to the slightest of degree. I think that Leonardo Santos is past the best times of his career. I think he's way past them. I don't think he's going to have a ton of success here. I think Jared Gordon actually knocks him unconscious in this fight. Take a sip of the coffee and let's get to the face-offs here. They got a different order than me. We're going Jared Gordon here. Then there is Leonardo Santos. And there's the face-off. Listen, I think that Jared Gordon should beat the aging Leonardo Santos. Santos nearly, 42 and a half now? About a decade younger, Gordon, 9 years. I think Gordon's in his prime at this point. He's honestly a solid fighter. He's got decent boxing skills. He's got a good wrestling base, good gas tank, forward pressure. He fights Leonardo Santos, who's very dangerous on the floor, but I don't think at the same point that he once was. The chin is a bit high. He's got a tall kickboxing style. To me, I see Jared Gordon getting his hand raised, and I am going to lean towards the KO side as far as the as far as the lines, minus 240, Santos plus 240 as a dog. And I guess as far as the prop would go, it would be KO for Gordon, which is sitting at plus 333 best value. I know he's not necessarily a finisher, but I could see a finish in this fight. Don't like the over-unders here. I would moneyline Jared Gordon to beat a Leonardo Santos with a fair amount of confidence here. Exciting matchup. Next fight of the night. I guess we're going a little bit backwards order here, but it is Sean Woodson and Luis Saldaña. I got to pick Sean Woodson. He's been the pick throughout the week. I like the sniper style. It's a unique stand-up game. A lot of amateur boxing. He has a pretty quality movement and flow. Unique stand-up for sure, though. Saldaña, more of your typical pressure kickboxing, but definitely is dangerous. What I don't like is the hands. They're a little bit low when he's going to block. He's in the mid-range with a Sean Woodson as long as he is. I see Woodson landing shots. I see Woodson touching Saldaña up and knocking him out. Leaning second round knockout. Could see it in the third. Be more surprised if it happened in the fourth, though. Especially when both guys are at their 100. I expect a competitive first round. With Sean Woodson, though, do knockout, I would lean if you're going to prop it up. Let's pull back to the weigh-ins here. Saldaña on the scale. Sean Woodson on the scale. He's such a unique-looking individual, man. A very unique frame. Long and tall guys on both sides. Respectable face-off. 5'11 to 6'2. I guess 6'2", though, at 145 is crazy. And 79-inch reach. 30 years old, though, for Sean Woodson. So he's not super young. Neither is Saldaña. Good amount of experience with Saldaña, too. Exciting matchup for sure. I expect Sean Woodson to take it here. I'm riding with him to win. A little bit of an inflated line, though. I don't think he deserves to be minus 346 at best value. Saldaña plus 320. The line should be closer. It's a competitive-ish fight between two game, I would say. I guess you got to call Saldaña a veteran at this point because he's not necessarily a prospect at 31. But Woodson's still in that prospect zone, though he is 30. Looking at Woodson to win by KO TKO, just plus 190, so not great value, but I do expect him to get the KO win. He's a very wide money line attack, maybe more of a parlay piece. We'll talk parlays towards the end. Sean Woodson for the win. Next fight of the night. It is our featured prelim. Marcin Tybura versus Alexandr Romanov. Alexandr Romanov has been the pick throughout the week, and he is Alexander Slim Romanov coming in at 239.5 with Marcin at 252.5. A little bit of a disadvantage in the weight, whereas, as soon as we saw Romanov burst onto the UFC scene, he's this huge individual. He's slimmed down, which I think is a lot better because he's technically pretty good. There is Romanov. There is Tybura. Tybura's takedown defense is normally known as being pretty good. I think Romanov finds ways to get him to the floor, though, and I think he could have some success from top position. Not going to be surprised with the Romanov decision here. I expect this to be hardest test period of his career. He takes on Tybura, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, known for a quality grappling game. Though he has a lot of success from the top position, it's hard for me to see him on top of Romanov with Romanov's wrestling base. Standing up, I could see Romanov and Tybura in a competitive striking match, but I would maybe edge the speed towards an Alexandr Romanov. I expect his hand to be raised. I really think he's taking this serious. I mean, he's 16-0. He lost body fat. He looks in the best shape ever for himself, and I think Romanov gets his hand raised, leaning at decision. But earlier throughout the week, I've been on the KO TKO, but Tybura is pretty big here, and it's a fight where both guys looking each other right in the eyes. Romanov is going to be in for an ultimate test. Now, looking at the odds, minus 330 Romanov, Tybura plus 310. I do feel as though the lines should be closer in respect to Tybura's experience, though Romanov is a great prospect on the rise. I mean, he's unbeaten. Romanov to win a decision is plus 300. Romanov wins inside distance about just plus 100. He's expected to get the KO TKO at plus 195. The submission for Romanov would be plus 400. I could see him getting a ground and pound TKO here of Marcin Tybura. I kind of lean that. Method of victory, a little bit blurry here. I'm gonna officially pick the KO TKO and still stick to my guns, but decision I'm also feeling. So either or, but Romanov getting the win using his grappling is what I expect from this fight. Alexandr Romanov to win against Marcin Tybura. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about it. It's Tyson Pedro versus Harry Hunsucker. Hunsucker in the best shape we've seen him in the UFC. 205. Let's check out the scales. I've been on Tyson Pedro throughout the week, as has everyone. There is Harry Hunsucker. He actually looks good at 205. There is Tyson Pedro. Looks in great shape. There's the face-off here. Respect between both guys. I would lean Pedro by KO. I'm interested to see Hunsucker at 205 pounds, but I'm not going to bank on him to beat a Tyson Pedro who's a quality striker, dangerous kicks, good power in the hands, nasty jiu-jitsu game. I could see Pedro also catching the win via submission. We'll look at the lines here. Tyson Pedro's a huge favorite, minus 690. Harry Hunsucker, plus 575. The odds are crazy wide here, and they've been this wide since they started opening up. I mean, it makes sense, right? Harry Hunsucker, multiple KO losses. Tyson Pedro, prospect who just bounced back from a long layoff, beating Villanueva. Minus 350 for the under 1.5. Pedro to win inside distance, minus 450. Pedro to win by a decision, plus 1495. That's crazy. Pedro to win by KO TKO is minus 195. Pedro to win by sub, plus 370. The sub prop would be really the only thing worth touching because you're not money lining Pedro. And I mean, some brave soul's going to bet Hunsucker, but I think he's getting beaten here. Tyson Pedro for the win. The pick is KO. Maybe a prop bet win by sub because he does have a very capable ground game. Next fight on the main card should not be on the main card. This should be the first fight of the night. Switch this with Altamirano and Daniel De Silva. I won't complain. Give me Albazi and Figueiredo. Give me Loosa and Fletcher. Give me any fight on the prelims instead of this one on the main card. I don't understand this. Obviously, they want to have a good feature bout of the night to sell pay-per-views, but I don't understand this fight on the main card. I'm sorry. This is not a good choice by the UFC. Yanan Wu, Lucie, Pudilová. I'm picking Yanan Wu. It's not a fight that I'm clamoring at the bit to see. I'm concerned, but I will say Pudilová and Yanan Wu were intense at face-offs. Nose to nose. Pudilová got in that space. I hope she gets her ass kicked. That's that Rousey stare down. I think there's a bad luck about it, and I think that we're going to see Yanan Wu beat her on the cards, a win by decision. Pudilová will then fall to 5 straight UFC losses. I know she's won in Octagon, when she left the UFC. I'm going Yanan Wu to win. Decent pressure style. I believe she's going to be able to pressure a Lucie Pudilová striking. Pudilová, awkward stand-up, very forward-leaning style. Okay, straight punches, fights decent from range. Yanan Wu, I think, is going to be difficult to hurt. She's going to continue to move forward. Okay movement and high volume, and I think Yanan Wu takes it on the cards, but not a fight that I really like all that much as far as the betting side. Hopefully, we get entertaining value. I hope the entertainment value is high. I hope it's an entertaining fight because it's on the pay-per-view. Yanan Wu, plus 109. Lucie Pudilová, minus 117. This fight shouldn't be on the main card. I'm sorry. This fight should not be on the main card. I have no interest in any of the bets on this fight. I'll be 100% real with you guys. Over 2.5 minus 340. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you dog it up on Yanan Wu. I hope she wins. I'm picking her by decision. There's not much to like here as far as this matchup betting. I mean, I guess I have to kind of dig into it a little, but I fucking don't want to. Looking at it, Yanan Wu to win by a decision, plus 175. Yanan Wu by KO is plus 1,200. Wow. I doubt she KOs Pudilová. Yanan Wu, decision. And this fight should be on the first fight of the night. Prelim. Early prelim. Not main card. Next fight of the night. José Aldo versus Merab Dvalishvili. Good feature bout of the night. José Aldo has been the pick throughout the week. Merab is a game test, though. We'll check them out on the scales. Merab shredded, ready to rock. José Aldo looks in good shape, and he seems to have already rehydrated fairly well since a weigh-in where he did need the box to cover him up. There's the face-off. I have to ride with José Aldo. Of course, there's going to be a time where José does not have it anymore, And we're going to get to see that eventually. I don't think this is the fight. Merab is a good pressure chain wrestler. Jose Aldo has incredible takedown defense. Clearly better striking with Aldo. And I think that you're going to see Aldo getting back up to the feet, even if Merab is able to find takedowns. I like Jose Aldo to win. I see him at plus money, and that's the OG. You have to throw down on him here. Plus 126 Aldo. Merab minus 132. Jose Aldo win by decision. I do expect him to go long. Minus 210. For the over 2.5. Aldo to win by a decision is plus 275. You get plus money on Aldo, straight money line at plus 125. I think that's a fantastic idea. I like Aldo a lot here. I think Merab is super game. The guy doesn't get tired. He continues to just press forward like an absolute savage, and he has really good wrestling. But Jose Aldo has all-time great wrestling defense, and I don't think Merab has any finishing threat to Jose Aldo. I don't see him tapping him out. I don't see him knocking him out. I think Aldo could find some good punches here and stun Merab. I think he could chop at the legs. I'm very curious to see, though, how Aldo's going to deal with this pressure wrestling style of Merab Dvalishvili. Fun fight. Aldo wins, and he's probably next in line for the title. I know if Merab wins, he's dropping at 25. Co-main event of the evening. It is Paulo Costa and Luke Rockhold. Pick is Paulo Costa. It's been that way throughout the week. I like both guys a lot, and the fan in me would love to see Luke have a good performance, but I don't think so. A lot of nervous energy at the presser, too, from Luke. To me, that comes off as you're selling yourself on this fight. And I mean, he even said to DC, I mean, Costa's a monster. He's a little scared of him, whatever. Costa's jacked. He's in the best shape we've ever seen him. Period. He made 185 without a problem. And he said F USADA because I guess USADA showed up needing to draw blood at 6 a.m. on weigh-in day. What the hell is that? That should not be a thing that fighters have to deal with. So yeah, USADA, end that shit, man. Fight day, blood sample, maybe after the fight, not day before the fight when these guys are dehydrated as fuck and you're taking blood out of them. That's insane. Luke Rockhold on the scale looks very good. Paulo Costa looks like a freak, as always. Both guys in great shape, but Costa's just a freak. And there's a face-off. It was intense. Costa kind of smiling at him. You can see Rockhold's feeling it. I love it. I think this is a throwback style fight in some sense. Like, I feel like Rockhold, mentally, it's like he's in his prime. This is his #1 contender fight. If he wins, he's probably next in line for the belt. I mean, it's Luke Rockhold. I don't think he does. I'm going Paulo Costa to win by KO in the second round. A lot of shots are going to be thrown. I think a fair amount will be landed, and I think that Rockhold chin is going to be tested big time. Paulo Costa finds a clean hook and puts Rockhold to sleep. As far as the odds here, Costa minus 340, Rockhold plus 328. I do think we're going under 2.5, which is minus 200. Fight will end inside of the distance. Costa to win by KO TKO is actually minus 150. Let's see what Costa in the second round is. Costa wins KO TKO round 2, plus 425. I think that probably does happen. Costa's a very wide favorite money line. There's not a lot of love by the bookies on Luke Rockhold. Understandably so. 1-3 in his last 4. All 3 KO losses. I expect the 4th one by KO here to Costa. Paulo Costa to win the co-main event impressively. Main event of the evening, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 2. If you guys haven't, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. The pick is Kamaru Usman. It's been that way the entire week. I actually loved his demeanor at the press conference. I know some people said it was an awkward presser, and I mean, I could barely understand what Leon was saying half the time. The presser doesn't necessarily matter, but we're looking at the weigh-in recap show. We're looking at all the factors leading up throughout the week. The pick has been Usman technically since the start, since the Sunday breakdown. But I'm getting more confident in him seeing his demeanor. And also, we'll pull them up on the scales. There is Leon Edwards. There is Kamaru Usman. And there's a face-off. Usman's incredibly jacked. He's a freak of nature. His head is huge. I don't see Leon Edwards as the guy that dethrones the champion of the world. Kamaru Usman is going to win. And still, I think he might TKO Edwards in the 4th. The wrestling's going to be a factor, but the fact that Usman can strike with Leon, looking at Leon getting stunned by Nate, I know it was late and he was winning that whole fight and maybe there was a bit of fatigue, but if Usman lands a bomb on that chin, I could see Leon hurt. Decision is the, official pick, you could say, but TKO or decision is very live here. I could see a 4th round TKO also. I think the accumulation of shots and also a mix of the wrestling Kamaru Usman will fatigue Leon Edwards. Edwards' best chance to win, in my opinion, is landing a high kick like early, setting it up with some type of punches and just perfectly bringing it up the center because Leon Edwards is a tricky southpaw stance. So if he's able to land that left high kick somehow and just sneak it right through the guard, that's how he wins the fight. I can't see him outpointing Usman for 5 rounds. It's going to be the Kamaru Usman show, and still champion impressively. As far as the lines, they're extremely wide. Minus 340 for Usman, plus 310 for Leon Edwards. Looking towards the prop side of things, over 4.5 is minus 155. It probably does go over. But Usman's been a man possessed recently, stopping everyone. I wouldn't be surprised if he stops Edwards too, aside from the Colby Covington fight. I mean, Colby Covington, though, you got to respect what you see from Colby. I mean, that's the number 2 guy in the weight class. Leon could go long here, so probably going distance. Let's see. Usman to win by decision. The official pick is minus 110. Usman by KO TKO is plus 280. I think Kamaru Usman beats Leon Edwards and still champion. I know it's wide as far as the odds, but I really feel like a pretty close to sure thing here because Kamaru Usman is another level. Even though Leon's got great kickboxing, great point striking, he's super precise and quick with his kickboxing. He has solid grappling defense and even solid grappling offense. It's not going to be the same level as the champion of the world, the Nigerian Nightmare and still champ. Overall, 278. Pretty solid card. I'll be live for the entire thing, so join that fight companion and come watch the violence with me. We're going to jump to the parlays to finish thing out. Let's finish this thing out with a quality parlay. All right, it's going to be Kamaru Usman, Paulo Costa, José Aldo, plus 266. I like this 3-fighter play on the main card. I think it's a quality play that I'm pretty confident does come through. If you were looking to add more to the slate, a Jared Gordon should get the win, plus 407. If you want to throw down more, you're like, listen, I want another one. Romanov could be a play at minus 345, though. He only brings you to plus 554, but it's still good plus money. A Sean Woodson gets to win. Plus 740 for this wild-ass parlay. I would say it has a pretty good chance of coming through, though. Let's see, if you went nuts and added the over 2.5 here, it'd bring you to plus 1301. I don't think you really want to add the Albazi money line. I mean, you could, especially if you're throwing a huge one. He probably beats Figgy. Plus 917. I like the plus 740, but if you're looking for safety first, I think your best bet is throwing down on Usman, Costa, Aldo, especially if you want a dog in the mix, to add a little juice to the sales. We're just going nuts adding in everybody here. Plus 1,057 if you played this one. Overall, exciting card. Good money to be made. Be cautious with your bets. Enjoy the hell out of the fights. Come enjoy it with me for the Fight Companion. Thank you guys for the continued support and a great week of content. Make sure to smash the hell out of the like button if you're new, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the picks. If you don't have anything to say, but you just enjoy the content, drop a W in the chat. As always, much love, my people. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, and have a great night.